90% of men have experienced erectile dysfunction at some point. All of us have had a chance to get these problems. And you get the chance to pound a woman. You've been longing for this chance. You've wasted money to take her on dates. You've impressed her, and now the chance is here. And imagine, and the most annoying part of this is when you get your penis inside the vagina, and then it starts to retract back. Pornography, masturbation, and all these sexual experiences have actually been put closer to you through your phone. We have porn sites, we have dating sites, and it has made it even weaker. And men are thinking that women can ever love them back. Listen, women only know how to love products of their womb. Again, that will look like a controversial statement, but the reality is, love for a woman is what she experiences with her children. Love to a woman is what she experiences with her children. That's the only true love, if that exists. The only true love is between a woman and her children. But a woman to a man, that will be always respect or submission, depending on how you can provide, you can protect, and you can show her some form of leadership. And then you can pound her yam. Sometimes they wake up very chaotic and they're literally all over. But sex humbles them. So imagine she's chaotic, she's all over, breaking things here and there, she's so moody, and the only thing that needs to cool her nerves down is the sex. But you cannot have an erection. And now, of course, we'll produce excuses. I'm focusing on my goals. If it was not, if you just, if you found me yesterday after the gym, and that only comes in after you've searched your bag and realized, oh, my blue pill is not around. My blue pill is not around. Now it has to, now you have to make sense. So you have to create all excuses around it so that she just understands. But let me be honest with you. They will only understand for the shortest period of time. Just the same way they will only provide for the shortest period of time. And the reason why they are doing that is because they are hopeful that the situation will change for the better. So you're there hoping that this woman understands me and she will understand me for a lifetime because I'm the husband. Listen, they can only understand you for the shortest period of time and with the hope that everything changes for the better. And you're still surviving on the hope that no other man has already pounded your yam. So you're still surviving. You're on resuscitation mode. You are on a gas mask. Once it's pulled down, you're gasping for air. So where are we getting the erectile dysfunction? Apart from just mentioning sugar in general, these are the causes of erectile dysfunction. Above all, they are classified into 5. So I'll talk about these 5 pole as we go slow but surely until we get to the end. So number 1, it has to be an underlying health condition or a medical condition. So you cannot just get an erectile dysfunction just because sugar was thrown in, just because a processed carbohydrate was thrown in, or honey. No, you can't. You will get erectile dysfunction because of an underlying health condition that is actually caused by that sugar. Do you get the connection? So sugar is the major one, but now sugar will give you a condition that will actually cause you the ED. What are these conditions? Number 1 is hormonal imbalance. Now, when you hear the word hormonal imbalance, what they are actually telling you as a man is you have low testosterone. At least women have the two, progesterone and estrogen. So when they're told you have hormonal imbalance, they're actually being told that you have a problem with either progesterone or estrogen. They also have testosterone, but in lower levels. So they can also be told you have a problem with testosterone. Because higher levels of testosterone, they start to grow beards and get hirsutism. But for the men, because this is why we are here, Eutychus is in the building. Eutychus, how are you, bro? Welcome aboard, my bro. So, if you have an underlying condition that is hormone related, that is low testosterone, or rather, if you have high DHT. Now remember, as a man, you only utilize 2% of your circulating testosterone. So you can have a lot of testosterone in your body, but you will only utilize 2% of it. What does that mean? That means the rest of the testosterone that is circulating in the system will be metabolized, it will be broken down. And the active metabolite for testosterone is DHT, dihydrotestosterone. So what does dihydrotestosterone do to the man? Baldness. prostate cancer, prostate enlargement, erectile dysfunction. So if you're that person who actually activates the breakdown of DHT to get testosterone to get DHT, which is actually the active and toxic metabolite of testosterone, you will experience these problems. You will experience these problems. That is one. And what actually causes conversion of testosterone to DHT? Number one is obesity, high estrogen in the system. Number two is endocrine disruptors. We have so much endocrine disruptors in the system right now. Starting with the hormonal contraceptives that women use, and then they urinate in the rivers. And then you take that water through the tap waters, and you use it either to bath so it gets through the skin, or some of you drink the tap water. But some situations you cannot avoid. But that's the reality. When you get that access to those hormonal contraceptives through drinking water, you are actually becoming a woman, because those are progestins and estrogens. They are not even estrogen hormones. They are actually progestins. They are synthetic, made in the laboratory. So you start raising your estrogen levels, and that is a problem to you as a man. When you grow fat, fat has a way of blocking the conversion of estrogen to testosterone, because that happens under an enzyme that is called aromatase. So if you block conversion of estrogen to testosterone, what are you becoming? Your levels of estrogen start going up. You start becoming a woman. You grow man boobs, you grow the hips and the buttocks, you become very chaotic and emotional, and that is the beginning of problems, because you'll now have erectile dysfunction. So estrogen in men is also a very dangerous thing. So as a man, you have to put your estrogen on the low so that you don't become chaotic. You don't have those man boobs, and then we start helping you to reverse the man boobs. Men, please listen. You are allowed to like the life, no problem. Just let other men who are getting into being women come onto the live and we learn together. And I know 90% of men have experienced erectile dysfunction at some point. All of us have had a chance to get these problems. And you get the chance to pound a woman. You've been longing for this chance. You've wasted money to take her on dates. You've impressed her, and now the chance is here. And imagine, and the most annoying part of this is when you get your penis inside the vagina, and then it starts to retract back. My friend, in your head, you'll be thinking about the best sex you've ever had with another woman. So now, sex stops being about this woman. You're just using her as a sex object. Now it's about the woman in your head. Now you're thinking about the best, in quotes, the best pornography video you've ever watched so that you can get your erection back. Most men know what I'm talking about. It's just the truth. Lois Makomere is saying, hiya, we always say baldness is genetic. Baldness is actually testosterone being converted to DHT, dihydrotestosterone. Of course, it has a genetic link, but it's very minimal. And I always tell you, when you hear genes, 2 to 10% is played by genes. And number 2 to 5% of diseases are actually genetic. 2 to 5%. So don't allow the system to lie to you and make you a slave by telling you this is genetics. This is the same thing they tell you when they don't know what they're talking about. It's either genetics or idiopathic. Idiopathic means I don't know. We don't know the cause. So you can imagine your doctor telling you, you are diabetic, but it is idiopathic. We don't know the cause because your pancreas is functional. Your cells are sensitive to insulin, but we don't know what is causing. But the same doctor goes ahead and writes a prescription for drugs for diabetes. How many men have gone to a doctor? You have used sildenafil in all forms. You have used tadalafil, and men know these drugs. I don't want to mention the trade names. You have used those 2 drugs, but there's no improvement. And the only option your doctor tells you is now, we have to add on the dose because now we don't know the cause. We've tried these drugs, and these are the only drugs that we know that are causing you, that can actually help you recover from this condition. But since it is getting worse, we don't know what to do. So we don't know the cause. How many of you have heard that? A lot of men are suffering in silence. Imagine a urologist at the apex of sexual health in men, at the apex of reproductive health, but still tells you, I don't know what you're suffering from, but I'll write you these antibiotics just in case there's a disease. But doesn't ask you about diets, doesn't ask you about sleep patterns, doesn't ask you about vitamin D, doesn't even take a test for vitamin D deficiency. doesn't ask you if you walked on the sun, doesn't ask you about family and stress levels, doesn't ask you about any underlying health condition and the medication that you're using, but still goes ahead and writes a prescription for drugs for erectile dysfunction. Higher doses of drugs for erectile dysfunction. By the way, did you know that blue pill, that Viagra, actually somebody who discovered sildenafil, was actually trying to study the effects of this pill in hypertension. And did you know that sildenafil was actually used to treat pulmonary hypertension? Underline the word hypertension. So it was used to lower blood pressures. Did you know that? And when these men came to hospital to pick their drugs, of course, a prescription refill for their drugs for hypertension, they went home and they got erection. So it was discovered by chance. It's called serendipity. So they went home, and when they took the drugs, their blood pressures came down and they pounded their yams to satisfaction. So now women were so interested in this drug. Like, how is it possible that my gentleman has not had an erection because of this condition that he has, but now they have been given this drug, and this drug is actually making them to pound us to satisfaction? What is happening with this drug? So actually the women were the ones who were going back to hospital to pick these drugs for these gentlemen so that the doctor does not change the drug. Well, women were the ones who were going to pick drugs for this is the time when families came together for at least a common goal. Families came together for a common goal, and the common goal was, now let's go to hospital and pick these drugs for our men so that they pound us to satisfaction, and they will benefit from it anyway. As they benefit from it through lowering blood pressure, we also benefit by being pounded. Where? So that drug was discovered by chance, and that's the reason why most men right now, they die in action. So you go take that sildenafil, maybe 50 milligrams or 100 milligrams, because you've now been used to 50 milligrams. And this is happening to our youths. Somebody who can go to the gym and fix their health, somebody who has the capability to fix their kitchen, but they run and buy these drugs every evening. And then they take these drugs, forgetting that this drug was designed for hypotension. So it was designed for hypertension, to lower blood pressure, sorry. Now, since it was designed to lower blood pressure, if your blood pressure is normal, what do you think will happen? Hello? If your blood pressure is normal and you take a drug for to bring down your blood pressure, what do you think will happen? Oh, do you have the answer? What do you think will happen if you are having normal blood pressure? So your blood pressures have never been stubborn, and now you have normal blood pressure, and you go ahead and take a drug that is designed to lower your blood pressure. What do you think will happen? Yeah, gentlemen, I'm not saying no to your drugs. You can go ahead and use them, but I want to give you the adequate and appropriate information that when you use that pill, you use it in the appropriate way, and then let your woman do the work. How many men, politicians, heavy people in government, how many do we know? Media personalities. How many of them do we know? Even doctors that have died in the field of action, just trying to impress that woman. And then your blood pressure's poop down. Now you're into hypertension and you're still trying to impress. Oh my goodness. Hey, you die as a soldier. There's a saying in my language that says, a bull dies with grass in the mouth. And that men, they die in the living room or the sitting room. There's no man who is supposed to die in the bedroom. Men die in the sitting room. So that saying basically means that a bull never gives up, so it will die still chewing. oh my goodness. Our bulls die chewing. So you just go into a shock. You go into hypotension and your organs just shut down once and you're gone. And we will celebrate you because you died in action. Believe me, we will celebrate you. As much as we will take the woman to court and all this time, we want the woman to pay. She's not the problem. You just did not match her energy, and you decided, now it's time for me to at least top up my energy. And the gentleman was arrested, but the soldier died in the field of action. Anyway, we move. So that is hormonal imbalance. Doctor, since I stopped using atorvastatin, I'm now perfect. Thank you so much, Ephraim Kabethi. I'm going to talk about atorvastatin and the lipid-lowering drugs and how they affect your erection. So that is hormonal imbalance, low testosterone and high estrogen. Number 2, the metabolic diseases. Of course, on the list, diabetes can never lack because it's a sugar problem. Imagine with all the research and all the finances that have been pumped into diabetes, they have never found a reason to define it adequately. Do you think they're stupid? Do you think they don't know what they're doing? That they still tell you that diabetes is chronic elevated high blood sugars. They still talk about that, chronic elevated high blood sugars, which is basically a symptom of diabetes. It's not diabetes, it's a symptom. So diabetes is in your cells, not your blood, is in your cells. What you're seeing in blood is just what is coming back or spilling back from the cells because of insulin resistance. They have even classified diabetes, but they don't have an appropriate definition, because if they had the definition, they will have the treatment. Our own diabetes guidelines are actually sponsored by the big pharma. So how do you expect to recover from diabetes? How? So diabetes is there because sugar blocks blood flow towards the penis. Also, sugar kills the nerves that supply the penis. Also, sugar kills your brains. So therefore, the transmission of nervous impulses from your brain to the penis, 0. Even the ability of you just comprehending that this is a sexual process, 0. But the same sugar will give you excuses why you did not satisfy this yam. So you can remember you did not satisfy the yam, but you can't fix the cause. Cancer is here. And when I talk about cancer, I'm talking about cancer and chemotherapy. Now, did you know that cancer is also another disease that they have never defined adequately? Did you know that drugs for cancer actually cause cancer? Did you know that? Of course, if you've been on my platforms for the longest period of time, you know that. It's the truth. One side effect of cancer drugs is to cause cancer. Look, you should see how pharmacists prepare those chemotherapeutic drugs before they inject in a patient. They are so covered with a double gown. They have a head shield. They have a mask. They have double gloves. And then they have a shield. They make it through that fume chamber. If you knew in chemistry in high school, you know the fume chamber where we used to basically make the reactive products. So they make it in a fume chamber where the whole glass here is covering you here. Then it has holes. So you put your hands in there and the medicines are inside that glass. So it's like you're seated this way. So you're trying to fix or to mix those drugs from inside there. Now imagine the shock on my face when I'm thinking that these drugs that I'm avoiding have to go in a blood vessel to somebody who's waiting for me on that chair or on that bed. As a professional, you're even afraid. You're even scared. So just imagine that. Like as a professional, you're scared to mix these drugs because you think if they get in contact with your skin, they will actually cause cancer. But these same drugs, you want to convince that person who is sitting or sleeping on that bed that they're going to get better. Hello?